You tell us, what do the Bears have in Kyle Monangai?
Well, as you heard, he's from the Rutgers, which is a big deal.
Amazing.
I was thinking about this. I don't think any of us would ever want to stake too much on a 7th round pick for anything.
Correct.
But man, that's a good 7th round pick. Like, he strikes me as a guy that 10 years from now is still going to be playing in the league. I don't think he's a superstar. I don't think he's expected to be a superstar. But when he was a sophomore, he led the Rutgers in rushing yards. When he was a junior, he led the Big Ten in rushing yards. And this year, everybody knew the only real offense was coming from the running game, and specifically coming from Kyle Monangai. And he still averaged 116 yards per game, despite the fact that everybody knew that was the dude they had to stop. So I know he's not as flashy as Ashton Genty, but I think for the concept of value, him in a 7th round is great.
Yeah, it seems to be the case for the running back market that there's a couple, 2 tree guys who got that kind of value in that 7th round. By the way, the Rutgers, my dad went to Rutgers.
For the Rutgers!
My mom went to Douglas, which at the time was the female version of Rutgers.
For the Rutgers!
Yeah, I mean, she did put the S on it, but I get it. It's the State University of New Jersey.
Well, we would take the S off here anyway, so that's fine.
That's true. He went to the Rutgers. But tell us more, because you watched the games. We've now watched the tape. We've played catch up, but you watched the games. How many people were like in the box for opposing defenses when the Rutgers would hand the ball to Kyle Monangai?
Well, I'll put it this way: the quarterback that they had was Ethan name, right? A+ name, but he was, a lower tier Big Ten quarterback. And when they played pretty good to good teams, his numbers were not good. So the only way they could get any yard offensively was handing it to Manangai. So I really think he's, again, I don't think there's anything flashy. But if the idea is he's not even the main back, which, correct me if I'm wrong, he's going to be back number 2, right? That lowers what is expected of him in any regards, let alone the amount of carries he's going to have.
Yeah, you would think that he would be someone that they're going to find matchups for. And they're going to allow him in certain situations to get out there on the field and be a change of pace back, which makes sense. The thing is that these are the types of guys that you usually like churn through when you're talking about 7th round pick or priority free agent guys at the running back position specifically. So, but I think that you're right. I think that he tends to look like someone who has an opportunity to stick for a while in the league because of some of the cool stuff, like watching the way that he does bounce off defenders, his contact balance. And that is something that if you can do that, that's something they will find you a job and they will find you opportunities in the NFL.
Mike,
yeah, I agree. I liked. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, I liked him going into the draft as someone that I thought could make a difference. I really don't know that he's a star, but I just think he's going to be around for a while.
Undrafted in 2020 was this guy, who is 5'9", 219, similar to Manangai, James Robinson. Now, that's not a guy who lasted 10 years in the league, but that's a guy who flashed in a big way for the Jaguars early on and then bounced around to several other teams. Like there are dudes who are super useful right away who get taken down there. I think he could right away be super useful. And Lawrence, you're right. They churn through guys like this here in the NFL. And that's part of why you don't take someone higher.
Yes.
Because they're a dude. Like this speaks to the fungibility of the position.
Yeah, the running back position itself is now one, unless you have the elite of the elite. If you have Saquon Barkley, that looks different. If you have Derrick Henry, that looks different. Even Josh Jacobs, like that looks different. And maybe lightning strikes twice in Piscataway, New Jersey. And you go, oh, here's the Bears version of Pacheco.
Yeah,
Like,
man.
that would be great. A guy that runs like he's angry at the ground. So if Manangai can be that in the pros, you can make a lot of money and you can help a winning team do that. I'm curious, sir. What did you think of the Bears draft overall?
So I went in genuinely being like, okay, the only thing we really don't need is pass catchers. So as long as we avoid pass catchers, as long as we take our capital and don't use it on pass catchers, I'm going to be pretty happy with this draft. And sure enough, the first 2 picks are pass catchers. But here's the thing, and I admit I'm an eternal optimist, so I'm always finding the positive in it. I love the picks. I get the debate of Loveland Warren, but a year ago at this time, if you asked me who's the best tight end in the Big Ten, I would have said, oh, it's going to be Colston Loveland in 2024. No doubt. I mean, he's really good. We knew Tyler Warren had potential, but remember, Tyler Warren was the only pass catcher they had at Penn State. So his numbers were remarkable. And by the way, I do think he's very good, but he got a lot of opportunities. Colston Loveland, remember, had not the best, I'm trying to be kind, quarterback situation in Ann Arbor this year. So his numbers were not impressive, but go back to when J.J. McCarthy a year ago was throwing to him. He was very good. And then you add up the fact that we know what Ben Johnson did in Detroit with a 2 tight end set, and you go, well, yeah, we didn't need a tight end if we have Cole Kmet to, oh, Ben Johnson needed a second tight end. So now you got those 2 guys. Now you're also talking to a Missouri grad.
I was gonna say you're the perfect guy to do this segment because you cover the Big Ten, so I knew you'd have some Colston Loveland stuff for us, and you're a crazy Mizzou fan. So let's hear it. Like, what do we got here?
He's a dog, guys. This dude has, I mean, if you're going to beat Todd McShay, he's just got a high ceiling. He is so good after the catch. He's, he might not run 30 yards and get something. He might run 8 yards and then get the next 30, scooting around 2 or 3 people. When he came to Missouri, people immediately were like, oh, it's going to be fun watching him in the pros pretty soon. And he lived up to that hype. The thing that really got me excited, guys, is you're going, okay, so you got Kmet, you got Loveland, you got Burden, you got DJ Moore, and you got Rome Odunze. Just to oversimplify it, one of those dudes is going to be matched up on every single play with the 5th best pass defender on the defense. So there's almost always going to be a pretty big mismatch available for Caleb Williams. And thinking of that very quickly had me go from please don't get any pass catchers to I kind of love the 2 guys they got.
Yeah, man. That's the whole idea, is the offense being able to confuse and challenge the defense, and your offensive guru, your head coach, having what he needs to implement that stuff. It's not going to be about catch numbers. Like, oh, this doesn't, how many balls can you throw? How many guys, so Cole Kmet might not catch that many. Colston Loveland might not catch as many as you think.
But the offense itself could end up being robust.
You could have all these weapons out there and then run it straight down their throat. And that's because you have these weapons out there. This is football, and they've got an offensive guy now, Mike, who understands it, right?
Yeah, and I didn't think of it that way, Matt, but I think you're right. If the expectations are for people to be like, well, Luther Burden better get 12 touchdowns and 1,300 yards, like that, you're probably going to be disappointed. But that shouldn't be the expectation. We know that Ben Johnson likes to keep you guessing on the defensive side of things, and if he's got 5 dudes to catch the ball, 1 or 2 to run it, plus Caleb to do whatever he wants, I think you're right. It's important to remember that the point is to score points as a team,
yes,
not to get individual stats. And maybe none of these guys will be all-pro players, but they'll probably have a collective all-pro worthy level of offensive production.
I want to go back to Loveland for a second because I do think that there are people that are concerned. The AC joint injury is a thing, and there are people who look and say, how well can he block because of what his positional designation is? I know that he said that he is proud of the work that he's done to become a better blocker. when you watched him in games, he made a lot of plays with the ball in his hands. Is there enough there? Is there enough raw material there to go, I'm gonna let this play out and see how good he develops into a blocker at the next level?
Yeah, I'm not. By no means did I feel like when you watched him in college, you're like, well, he's got good hands, but worthless at blocking. Like that just wasn't something that I heard about Colston Loveland whenever we were talking about the Michigan Wolverines. It was good hands. It was great ability to break away from the guy defending him and find some space. Good job after the catch, and he helps out the run game. He's a good safety net for, again, at the time, J.J. McCarthy, more so than the quarterbacks he had this past year. I'm not worried at all about his blocking ability. And, like, he's got that – I'm sure you guys have done the research of, he's got that Idaho farm boy type of toughness. It's not like he's going – for example, I don't expect Luther Burden to be proudly blocking a ton, but I do feel that Colston Loveland's going to be like, that's what you need for the next 6 plays in a row? Got it. I'm there.